TP5X, 5 layers. You can barely see the cover. It's so thin. That's the white layer on the outside. If you don't know what a cover is, Cordy,
Mm-hmm.
that's it. Super thin. That's like the thinnest one I've seen. 5 pieces. So every club that you hit, actually, it does something a little bit different. Not all the shots actually get to where you need the core to be really hard and usable. So, like a 9 iron might not even have the core react very much. So, all these other layers help control how much the ball is going to spin and feel. So, I think this is cool just to show some people what goes into it. So, this is a super golf ball, TP5, 5X. They're both awesome. What did I do with that one? Here's the Titleist Pro V1. So this is a very interesting one. This one I think is 4 pieces. So you've got the
Yep.
cover, a black thin layer in there, a purple, and then this pink one. And they all just perform different functions. So the more cores you have, potentially, I would say, the better your golf ball is going to be. And it's only because it just enables a lot of different thicknesses in between this really hard core that they've got there. Another good way to buy a golf ball too is just a 3-piece. So you've got a thin outer layer and it's orange, so that's cool. Then you have a white mantle, and then the core is just gigantic. This would be a good distance ball. Typically, the bigger the core is, the more potential energy you have to launch a golf ball. Which kind of gets us into these. Here is a reason that you need to be aware of. I think a good understanding would be to know what a range ball is. This is a practice ball from Titleist. And on this one, you can see that it has the outer core, or sorry, the cover, which is tremendously thicker than the TP5X is. So it's more durable that way, but it also is limiting how useful that is, and changing the spin rate, and just a big hard core in the middle of that. So this would last a long time. That's why they make these golf balls out of Surlyn for this cover. And this one is a more urethane cover. It's softer on my right hand here, or what you're looking at on the left hand side of the screen. So those are not the same. And if you're trying to hit a driver and see how far you hit a golf ball, use the golf ball that you normally play with, or just a premium ball like the TaylorMade ball is here too. You can't expect to hit this driving range golf ball, this practice ball, and get the same characteristics out of the shot. You're going to spin this much less, and it will probably launch much lower than this one. Driving range ball, straight off of the range. The fancy yellow pinnacle everybody knows about looks just like this Titleist practice ball. They are the same with the design. Now, here's an interesting one. This is the Top Flight ball that's going to be used in the long drive competition this year. You want to guess how many layers this golf ball is, Cordy?
2.
It is 2.
Yes.
It is a driving range ball, basically. I see no difference in this one. So this is going to be super interesting because they used to use a Volvic ball. And while I can't remember exactly which Volvic ball it was, I'm guessing it was something 3 pieces like this one. So the spin rate is going to be low. These are going to be hard. The balls should launch a little bit lower. So I'm sure there's going to be an equipment change and some bags for a few of the people that are hitting. Our buddy Ryan Steenberg, maybe I'll ask him about that. Now, what's tricky though is that when you have these golf balls and you start to get multiple layers outside of the core, it is challenging to place that core in the exact spot that you want when you just cast a golf ball like that. So the problem can occur occasionally, and if you've watched things on the internet and you see golf balls chopped up, like this golf ball over here. This one, you can see the core is not in the middle of the ball. No matter how I tilt this, it looks like a good story, but it's not in the center. So I'd tell you, buy good golf balls for one, but knowing that this is really, really hard to do is also okay to understand. But I really think that for every single person watching, there is no reason that you shouldn't be playing golf with a premium golf ball, like a TaylorMade ball or Chrome Soft or the Titleist Pro V1X, any of those. You know, I'm a huge fan of the new golf balls from Callaway, Chrome Soft with your sight lines on there. I think this is a really cool way to play golf. So the advantage is that if you start adding layers and you take away like range balls, these are more expensive to make. So that could be a separator of which golf ball you choose. Cost, but if cost isn't an option, you're a serious golfer, no matter how fast you swing, then you should be playing a premium ball.
So this kind of, let's say you're not at a top 100 club in the States where
Hmm.
you have Pro V1s to hit.
Yep.
This kind of perpetuates one of my kind of things that I've always tell people is to like try to practice on the golf course if you can.
Hmm.
Like use your golf balls, have a couple of them. Not saying like slow play and slow people up and back up the course, but if it's a slow night or you're out in the morning and no one's around, set up a plan of I'm going to hit two drivers, one draw, one fade, or I'm going to hit two drivers, one high and one low. Or if you're working on your wedge game, one of my favorite games to do, which I just did the other day actually, was hit your drive, either hit that on the green or pick it up, and then go throw it at 75 yards depending on your skill level, uh, either try make birdie from 75 and then move back to 100, try to make birdie from there, then move back, and then see how far you can move back by the end of 9 holes and try to like pace yourself. It'll be interesting because you probably don't get as far back as you think you will.
Yep.
Um, but I don't just curious your thoughts. Always a big proponent of getting on the course, practicing on there. And this golf ball element is a really valid point of we should practice with the golf balls we're actually going to use.
Yeah, no, I think your point's great. I know that if I were teaching golf every single day, I had a full lesson book, and that's all I did all the time, I'd spend a ton of time outdoors with people playing games like that. 'Cause I think that's just as important as hitting in a bay, just honing your form really well. I think you can do that pretty quick and get outside and have some really effective golf lessons that way just by using your own golf ball as an example is a great piece. I really caution people. The genesis of that comment is that if you're going to go out there and try to fit yourself for a driver using this golf ball, it is not the one you're going to be using when you go play. So you're miscalculating your launch and your spin and how far a ball will go. So that's not a good idea, especially with say a 7 iron. Those will act very, very different. If you hit a range ball 20 yards farther than your regular golf ball, I wouldn't be surprised. So don't do that. But I love your concept of hit your golf ball, try different shots. I do think the best way to start with the tee shot would be hit the same shot twice in a row and see how good you can do with that instead of altering your trajectory and the curve of the ball. But everybody has a different. Or I've seen teachers, and your talking point was fine about curving it different ways. I'm just a big proponent of same thing every time until you
Yep.
hit some skill level where that that doesn't value it doesn't benefit the shot you're
Maybe,
going
well,
to hit.
maybe it's little fade, big fade. How
I
about
think a
that?
lot. I think a lot of people practice that unintentionally, Cordy. That's why I like the tiny draw, and then hit them the same. Keep practicing hitting them the same. You'll have a pretty good pattern by the time you're done.
Nick, we got a bunch of questions this week.
Sure,
Maybe it means we've done some good things this week. I don't know. I thought
sure.
our shows are pretty good this week.
I've seen questions on our shows where people think I'm making this up or something. So I want to hear some of these. Let's find the detractors too.
So yesterday's show is awesome because we talked about drivers. There's the 2020 driver review. So I just shared my screen here. This is just YouTube comments where we've got some good ones. Let's start right here with the comment. You talked quite a bit about maybe shortening the shaft just to gain a little bit more
Yep.
control. So let's see. If you have a shorter shaft but put more weight in the head to maintain swing weight, do you recover some distance in some way? I ask because I've seen studies where they have not lost distance with a shorter shaft, but certainly have lost swing speed, but similar ball speed.
Hmm.
Um, so about where you hit it, is it all about where you hit it on the face, or is there some benefit to increasing weight in the head?
All of those are correct. So first you've got like the TS1 driver from Titleist. So this
Yep.
one had a pretty good MOI, but it's about 10 to 15 grams lighter than most of the other ones, like this Cobra driver. So to hit this farther, I need to swing it faster because mass plays a role in there, which is really the question that you're asking. By adding a heavier weight, you're increasing the MOI. But if I swing both of these at the exact same speed, same launch characteristics, same ball flight, I will hit the heavier one farther because there's more mass, and that plays into the equation. So, lighter, heavier, or sorry, shorter, heavier is a good one for accuracy. But yes, your point's valid about lighter and heavier doesn't, or sorry, shorter and heavier. Said that wrong again. Shorter and heavier doesn't mean that you have to hit it shorter. If you hit it more solid, you're going to get better energy transfer into the golf ball. And if you have a little heavier head, that doesn't mean that you're going to swing it slower or that it won't go as far.
A really good test. I don't know how practical this is for most people, but if you could swap out shafts in your driver, get
Hmm.
some spray or some tape and do a little testing and see, what you have better control with. I think that would be interesting. Obviously, maybe a little bucket list potentially, but
Yeah, yeah.
that'd be a great
And that
test to do.
Yeah, that gets into a little bit of just the whole theory on golf. So I come from more of the teacher side with the learned fitting background out of necessity and doing it a lot and trying to learn as much as I can about that and practice. I still like shorter, heavier to hit the ball in the middle of the face more often, and then I use technique to drive how far it goes and which way it curves. You could go the other school of thought though, which is grab a 46-inch super light driver like a TS1 and swing it and let the club do a lot of the work, with the off center hits being more forgiving on these newer products, and the longer, lighter shafts helping you add a couple of RPMs or miles an hour to the club head speed. You can go both ways. I just prefer the former than the latter.
I think the hardest thing about this conversation, Nick, is actually like doing anything about this. Like I've heard of and had conversations like this for a long time, but I still haven't done anything about it.
Yeah,
Like I've thought like, gosh, I really want to play around with getting a longer driver shaft. I think that'd be really fun. Like, do I actually hit it off the plant, just
yeah,
way everywhere, right? Or do I not? But like I've never done anything. I'm sure there's a lot of
yeah.
golfers that relate to this. Like, how do we get off the couch or get off the fence preferably and like do something about this? I think that's the hardest
Yeah.
part in this conversation.
Yeah, well, you could spend the cash and go get fit for a driver. That's what I'd tell you. Then walk in, maybe not even necessarily thinking I just want to find the perfect driver, but any questions you have, you can use it as an educational appointment too. So you could you want to try a shaft that's an inch longer than whatever you're using now. I know if you walk into a golf deck, we can find you something to pop into your G400, your current driver. We can still facilitate that request. So for a small investment, you'd be able to know that answer. And then if you did find that you hit it much different or further than yours, then you could buy it or not. I'd leave that to you and let you decide if that value proposition is worth it.
No, that's great. That's a much better idea than hopping on eBay and buying a short and a
Yeah.
longer one and then, seeing what happens.
Hmm.
You can just test it out.
Yeah. And that's like the poor man's option of, if you want to go quick and dirty, you could order some stuff on eBay and just do trial and error. But I still think you're better off having someone help you make an informed decision. There's almost like zero you would do in life where you didn't either do a ton of research before you bought it, or if it cost any amount of money that was escalating to where you were questioning whether or not you should even buy it in the first place, that you wouldn't enlist someone's help, an expert to help you buy it, because you'd be afraid of wasting your money. And golf equipment should be the same way, but I think a lot of more people are frivolous with how they spend their cash on golf products, so that they just buy the latest thing every year, but don't get any better because they never really got the thing that they needed. It's not necessarily the new thing you need. It's having whatever it is that you have fit well to you. That can be just as important.
Let's hop back to the comments. Here's my
Is that
favorite
a
one.
nice one?
Awesome,
Is that
guys. As good as it gets. That's the best
wow?
comment.
Is that one of your friends?
They are now. They are
All
now.
right.
Here we go. Good presentation. I'm wondering if only one head was tested or if multiple heads, and therefore an average of center of gravities. And let's throw out to MOIs as well.
Yeah. So I've tested multiple heads with each one of these OEMs, and I never really see much of a difference. The casts are made well enough where the CG and the MOI don't really change much. So I think I'm just going to stop probably doing that for a while, because it is a complete hassle to do that. But know that what I'm giving you, you could call an average, but I think it's pretty relative to just what you're going to be able to find off the rack.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's very interesting. I guess it makes sense too, because there's no hand grinding or,
Hmm.
any hand modifications happening with these drivers, right?
Yeah.
It's all,
You'd have to have a pretty significant error inside of the club, or deviation. Maybe it's not an error, but a
yeah.
difference between one to another to have that. And I don't see it. Haven't seen it yet.
Cool. Good clarification. Let's hop back to our comments. Excellent explanation. I think I'm going to leave the heavyweight in the back of my Sub-Zero to keep up MOI. Is it better to increase MOI and increase spin, or increase loft to increase spin?
Okay. Um, Hearing that, I think you could do either one of them and be just fine. Different schools of thought. personally, I would try to keep the MOI up high. So I would put this in the back if you're not struggling with, if you're not really trying to reduce spin on this Maverick Sub-Zero. This is the driver that question came from. Put the heavy one back here, and then use the loft of the club as your next variable. You could, if you hit the shots really, really solid, like you're not going to miss hit this driver, which is very few people listening. But if that was you, then you could put the heavier weight further up, which gives you a little more energy transfer potentially. And it would act more like your tailor-made SLDR. Really good on good hits, but really poor on the off-center hits. So I'm voting, put it heavier in the back and alter the loft from there.
Gotcha. Makes a ton of sense. All right. We'll keep it moving. Heading over to the Facebook page here for you guys. Really simple one. How often should you get a club fitting?
Yes. So our fact-checking experts went back and found a PowerPoint I'd made a long time ago. The National Golf Foundation suggests that avid golfers are on average changing their driver every 14 months, they're basically buying a new driver every 14 months. I would say that if you're serious about golf and you are going to play a ton, so I mean, you're going to go out there and play 30 rounds or more this year, there's no reason in the beginning of the year, whenever you found time, like right now is perfect. Golf courses are just getting open. They're not super crowded everywhere. They're busy pretty much every place, but not as crowded as full capacity. That I'd go ahead and get a fitting right now, then play the rest of the year and know that what you have is great. I mean, it's like that. It's that sense of understanding that you should have a relief once you get a club fitting. Most of the time, it should be that what you have is good. That would be that would show that what you had done in the past was very productive. If every year you go in and the person fitting you for a driver says, "Oh wow, you've just got to have a new driver," then you made a mistake before. So just try to avoid those mistakes by every spring, every early summer, get fit for a new driver or try yours again against a few that you might be interested in.
Perfect. Let's see. Who is eating or opening wrappers through this whole video? So annoying. I don't know. It was either you or me, Nick. I'm gonna say it was you. That's my
No, you know
opinion.
what? You know what I think they're hearing? They're hearing producer John or producer Sabrina in the background, not muted. So I think we're past that now. I remember watching a couple of those too. I promise we'll get better. We won't use Zoom every day. We'll keep producing or increasing our production value.
Oh.
But you did eat like a candy bar or something in one of these.
Nick, you threw the two people that can't like rebuttal under the bus here.
They can put a comment in here. I don't care. It's fine. Comment below, producer John and producer Sabrina.
Oh gosh. I'm gonna blame Nick. It was Nick that did that. Okay. Another interesting question: is CG measured with the hosel adapters screwed on or no?
Yeah, I'm guessing that's a coach. I think, judging by the picture, I've interacted with this coach some. Yes, we basically have the golf club minus the shaft on the grip.
Could you show that real quick by chance? Do you have that one?
Technical questions. Probably. It's just here's your club head. What he's really asking is that if you have the hosel that goes into this, which we do, we put that on, and then there's the screw that you use to actually tighten the whole thing together. That's how we put it together. That's what we're using to measure these. So I don't really have a full version that I would have done that way.
But when you measure them, it has all of that. Why do you do it with that and not just like you have it right there?
Yeah, so you're trying to make this like this is the golf club that's going to go on the shaft with the adapter in there. So you do all of that to come up with these calculations. If you skip that part, then what you're really doing is not factoring in an essential part of the weight that's going to react and interact with how this club's going to move when you're hitting it. Those are important parts to get in there.
I was getting texts from producer Sabrina. I was hoping it was commentary and rebuttals to what you said, but it's more questions, more great questions for everyone watching.
Ooh,
so
okay.
this is interesting. I hope that there's a controversy here. Somebody said,
okay,
in the video, why didn't you have the results of the M3 on the on your sheet?
I don't know if I've measured the M3. I probably have, but it's just not on there. I don't think there's controversy. I'm lazy, Cordy. I forget things.
I was hoping for something there.
Well, let me try to find an M3. That's the other hard part. I get asked a lot. Can you do like the Callaway Triple Diamond driver, which is a tour-headed driver? Sure. I don't have one. but if someone sends me anything, I could use it. So that's my limitation. So I might not have. I don't remember ever seeing an M3 measurement, so I might not have done that.
All right. This is a lengthy one. We were talking hybrids. We've talked a lot about hybrids in fairway woods. It's been something I've learned a lot, and I think we need to keep talking about it so everyone kind of understands it. Let's dive into this comment because it's
there you go.
Not sure if they agree with you.
Let's have it.
That's fair. So
Sure.
here we go. He went to his local driving range last year and tried a half dozen hybrids, hooked them all left, and gave up in disgust. I probably tend to miss on the toe side, so your analysis of CG location and strike makes sense. But I'm wondering about the bulge built into the clubs. If the club is coming through impact square, I hit it on the toe, and the club is designed correctly, the bulge should make the ball start right just enough to cancel out the draw spin and end up exactly where I aim, right?
Yeah. Sounds nice in theory. And I totally get that. Let me get a little bit closer here. We're going to look at the right above what Cordy still owes me here. So what he's describing is that I suggested that on hybrids, this is a picture of a driver to some degree, that hybrids and fairway woods tend to have the center of gravity built more towards the heel, like where that blue arrow really points. But anytime you hit something, even in the center, if that's the case, so if I hit it right in line with the CG or with the noted middle of the golf club by whatever the original equipment manufacturer puts on there, that it's still a draw hit, or it's a draw bias toe hit effectively. If the CG is here and you start getting shots that are so far from the CG, like this would be straight in line with it, this red arrow. If I start hitting a little off center, I can get a pretty predictable result. I kind of know what's going to happen. It's going to push, it's going to curve to the right, or sorry, to the left and draw for a right-handed player. What he's suggesting is that because the faces are perfectly straight, these are made so that this part of the club is more curved, so that the face itself is aimed further this way, which helps counteract that. The issue, though, is that when you start hitting a shot so far away from the CG, and that's, I'm going to have to leave it as abstract at that point, the further you hit away from the CG, the more chaos you get. So, for example, if I hit a driver and I hit it right here, I'm barely on the club face at all. The more chaos you get. And I swing it out 2 degrees, and my club face angle is open to my target 1 degree, which would maybe like the tiniest push draw on a normal hit. Just hitting the ball so far offline could twist the club head so much that I could hit a massive 100-yard push slice like that, even though I had the face in the path pretty much where I wanted to. So as you get further away from the center, there's just more chaos, more twisting happens, more veer effect happens, but the face might have opened so much, the path might have bent in a different direction quickly enough on these mishit shots that anything can happen. So I think the right answer for this person is still to don't overthink it. You're overthinking the amount of bulge that's really available, and that a perfectly designed club would navigate for that. But the speed you swing is a big variable in there, and then the amount off center you hit is a problem in that equation as well. Hit the ball slightly in the heel, and you'll have much better results with those hybrids.
Speaking of hitting the ball in the heel, we have another question just came in. I play a ping 410 plus. Noticed that my strike location shifted with the movable weight when I moved it to the heel. So I'm guessing he was playing it, had the strike in one, moved the weight, and the strike changed more towards the heel. Any reason for this in the gear, or is my funky swing the culprit?
I'd probably say it's your funky swing. I couldn't really do a correlation between moving the weight and then changing your strike location. So something happened, whether it was
so there's not really a pattern
placebo.
of if I move the weight in my driver, it's going to change my swing where I'm going to strike it differently.
No. Well, I make a big deal out of that, how changing your weight can really alter the shot. It's not because it's changing the way that you're swinging the club. You're not moving the weight enough to really alter the degree that the face is opened or closed, or how fast it's turning, or your path, for instance. If you're changing that, it can change, but it's by such a small amount you won't notice that as a human. Now, if I handed you a driver, Cordy, and then I told you I put the weight all the way out in the toe, and then you knew that standing over it, you could change your swing based upon that information. Whether you wanted to or not, you might be thinking about it. I'm guessing that's probably more of the story.
Got it. Got it. Should we head towards some really entertaining comments?
Oh yeah, this is perfect.
This is a good one. Is it me or does Nick really seem like an a-hole?
Totally. This guy must have been. Is it? Oh, Steve. Yeah,
Steve.
He talked to all of my old girlfriends. They might say the same thing. Am I an a-hole? Maybe. I don't know. Probably. I think it depends. Like, so in somewhat of a not a defense, but an understanding of that, I will say that you're probably noticing I do not ask the softball questions. I probably don't ask what people are expecting me to ask them when they talk to us. But I'm not looking to make anyone look silly for sure. But if I ask someone, hey, how do you teach golf, and explain to me how that works and how you name something, I don't think golf is really ready for that, quite honestly, because it's hard to find people who ask tough questions like that.
We're going to keep going with the banter. I'd love to have a bit of banter about this, but we talked with Will Robbins. He talked about the scoring method and kind of an on-course strategy. And this is a great comment. I think Nick Clearwater's face while Will Robbins was talking about not having a technique problem says it all. As Golf Tech VP wants everyone to have a perfect looking swing. And so let me add context. I think the phrase was something like, I think most people have a tension problem, not a technique problem.
Oh, gotcha. Oh,
and I think
so
that's an interesting comment. So let's have a bit of banter about that.
Oh, yeah. Tension. Well, you'd have to define tension. Can you do that for me?
Okay, so when I say that I have a tension problem, not a technique problem, is that I can go to the driving range, or I know that I have hit good shots in the past, but when I get under tension, I get on the tee box on the first tee, and I'm, whatever the event is, the tension comes in and I duck hook it when I traditionally don't do that, right?
Well, that's fair. Then I might ask you, well, is your technique the same as it was on the range on that hole? It's the same? Then why'd you get a different result?
I would say yes.
What gave you a different result then? If you made the same swing in the same spot, I would expect the driving range or golf course should hit the same shot.
Here's a question. Would you rather have somebody, okay, let me preface this. Here we go.
And a lot of these conversations are semantics, but
here we go.
Some of them are important, right? Ready?
Okay. So, well, there's kind of two alternatives. You can hit a shot with freedom or with like tension, right? Do you feel like that would kind of have our two sides of the scale?
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, keep going. I won't interrupt that one.
That's just going. So I talk with have Greg Cartman on, right?
Mm-hmm.
I work a lot with Greg, and one of the things he talks about is our goal is to get some element of freedom when we're hitting a golf ball, because tension is the killer of that. And so if we get really tense, like not good things happen typically.
Yeah.
If we're getting tense and tight, and that happens in a pressure situation, whether it's in a tournament or just playing with friends for money, right? Like the tension arises because you want to shoot your best score. You want to make a par in this hole or whatnot.
Right. So maybe we're saying the same thing, but I don't think so. So there's your controversy. So to start, I'd say that your swing's a motor program. We've covered that many times. It's been on this whiteboard up here before. I think when you're in a situation that makes you uncomfortable, your motor program changes. It's not the same one, or it's more likely to change when you're feeling a little stress, a little anxiety. You need to learn how to overcome that, because most of the shots that you hit on the golf course should have some level of stress to them, or your life has some level of stress to it. So you need to practice in those sort of environments where you're feeling a little bit uncomfortable. That's fine. But I think what happens to most people is that they then stop the analysis of, I'm uncomfortable, so I hit a bad shot because I'm uncomfortable. I'm going to say that your swing is different when you're uncomfortable. That's the actual answer to it. So what you need to do is stand on that tee shot that might scare the bejesus out of you. Like you're just nervous. And then understand that if you do this and this and this, those something in your swing. If I make a backswing where I make sure I move myself around enough, or I tilt enough to the left, and I hit it, and I keep my arms really straight, I aim the club face at address a certain way, I will get this type of shot. That's what I think golf really lacks, is the understanding of, if your system is simple enough, you can stand up there. A competent teacher can tell you, stand up there, do this, this, and this, and this is the shot you'll get. And if you don't, you did something else wrong, or one of those variables you didn't do enough, or you did too much. Then that alleviates all that anxiety of the situation around you, and it can bring you much more back to, all right, I know that I didn't execute the three things that would normally make my shot fly straight. So it's on me. I just did it wrong. It's not that I was nervous, uncomfortable. This guy over here is laughing at me because I'm hitting bad shots, or I'm down 3 on this match, or up 1, and this is a pressure hole. I think people just look at it the wrong way. And I found that for sure out of a sports psychologist, like Dr. Greg, or anyone else that I've met. That's where they live. They live in that you're feeling tense, you're thinking too much. I'm living in the world of you're thinking about the wrong thing, or you aren't thinking about anything that makes sense to begin with. You're just in the wrong place, and then that's the pressure. So if I stand up on the 18th hole and I'm up in a match by 1, and I need to hit a ball into the fairway, I work out a couple of thoughts that I know will give me the best shot of making that work. I know if I do it well, I hit a good shot. The pressure is just not the same.
So you're kind of relying on swing thoughts, or finding effective swing thoughts.
A system in your head that makes you execute the end result well.
What would be an example of that? Do you have an example of maybe
Sure.
just personally? What do you use?
Yep. So, for example, I know that if I stand up on the tee and I want to hit a little push, I aim the face slightly to the right of my target. Don't aim my stance there. I just aim the club face there. And that doesn't just mean the leading edge. I aim the actual club face where I want to hit the ball to the right. Then I know if I swing slightly to the right of that the ball will push and it will draw. And then if I hit a shot that doesn't push and draw, maybe I hit it, it starts straight and it draws, that then I actually hit the golf ball with the face too straight. So it always comes back to, how did the ball get to where it does? If that's a mystery to you, then you're always going to feel like there's pressure and stress and tension on you. Take like Tom Brady in the match. I feel like he played so poorly down the stretch as it got harder for him because he doesn't actually know how to hit a ball where he wants to. He's just making a swing and almost hoping that it's going to hit that little push cut that he's used to hitting. It might find the fairway, but if it doesn't, it's a mysterious to him. So that would be a aim the face here, swing here. This should happen. Then I know if I hit it and I keep myself turning and tilted to the right through the ball, that I keep my swing direction from going too far to the right, and I shouldn't overdraw. If they overdraw, then I know I didn't do it right. I didn't do those parts well.
We'll continue that conversation next week.
That's a good
Let's do
one.
an episode on it.
That's a good one though, Corby, because it really is very different than how I think most of the conversations I can tell from your questioning and your answer, you don't view it that way. So yeah, I'd love to talk about that.
Yep. Let's continue. I like it. Let's save it. We get to all the hot topics, and then we just hit pause and we're like, we're going to do it later. That's our go-to. That's how we keep people coming back, Nick, every week.
Well, it seems to be working. This seems to be growing pretty quickly. So I'm fine with that for now.
No, I love learning. You have such a fantastic kind of perspective. I'm enjoying all this time we've been spending together. I've been really enjoying learning your perspective on things and how you kind of think through everything.
I'm interested in seeing, you've talked to so many people and have such a good brand within golf, and I'm always interested to hear what other people have to say too.
Speaking of things that you like, because you like the Mizuno driver, which you talked about yesterday. And we actually got a comment. Someone said, I just got fitted for Mizuno at Golf Tech, and it's been working out great so far. So there's awesome. Another happy fan.
There it is. Love it. No, it's a good driver. Don't have buyer's remorse if you get that. That's kind of my point. A lot of people buy a Mizuno driver and then they go watch golf on TV and gasp. Rory McIlroy and Dustin Johnson are all hitting TaylorMade drivers. Oh, I need to return this thing. Well, it's good, man. It's good. I play it without hesitation myself.
Here you go. We got a mechanical engineer watching yesterday. Okay. Would like to check out some of your data. That's great. No, this is good. Hey, this is a good week, Nick. It was fun. I'm glad we could go through some comments because we had a lot of good questions, a lot of good things to dive through there.
Yeah, keep those things coming because the way that I try to make my system of explaining things better is by having people ask me questions, and then I have to refute my viewpoint. If I can't tell a story very well or I can't explain it, then I know I've got a hole in what I'm saying, and then it makes me do a better job. I wish all golf teachers felt that way and had that sort of scrutiny. They don't. So I think it's cool. Ask away.
Awesome. Well, that wraps up this week. We'll be back next week. I'm bummed we don't have an armchair expert segment for next week. So maybe we'll just make something up. Whatever sporting event happens, we'll just have to analyze it, I guess.
I got some cool ideas for next week, so hang in there.
But then Armchair Expert will be back eventually, though. Golf is soon enough, and then we get it all every week. We'll have the Armchair Expert on, so I'm excited.
That'll be fun. Yeah,
I'm gonna get a pipe and like maybe we'll just elevate that, every week.
I don't know what you've been waiting for.
I don't either.
Apparently, I'm an a-hole, so I say things like that to you, but I don't know what you've been waiting for.
Oh, it's great, folks. Oh, it's good. It's good hanging out in the comments with y'all.
Tuesday.
We'll see you Tuesday.